welcome back to our show, A Seat at My Table. So I have a cool surprise, sweet surprise for you today. We're making coconut flan. It's something that we serve at the restaurant. It's so easy to make. It's just a blended dessert, I guess. Everything goes in the blender and then we pour it into some hot caramel that I'm going to show you how to make. Goes in the oven, you forget about it for about an hour, and then we chill it, we cut it, and we enjoy it. It's going to impress your friends. My kids love it. I'm excited to make it for them at the house and not at the restaurant. So please follow us and check us out making flan. Alright, so here we are in the kitchen making one of my favorite things, which is coconut flan. And this is one dessert that you really should try to do because it's so simple. It's gonna blow your mind how simple it is. And you get it at different types of restaurants, Mexican restaurants and stuff. Everyone has their own version of it. This is gonna be a coconut one, but there's creme caramel, creme brulee is very similar. So basically, it's just a custard. What is a custard? It's just a mixture of eggs and cream and that will cook in the oven on something called a bain-marie. But don't worry about it. We can explain what that is in a second. So the ingredients for the flan are also very simple. We have 1.5 cups of cream and 1.5 cups of milk. We have some sugar here. The ingredients are going to be listed on the bottom. And then we have some sweetened coconut flakes. If you cannot find the sweetened kind, just use regular coconut flakes and add a little bit more sugar, maybe like 1 or 2 tablespoons. Then we have our condensed milk. This is an interesting ingredient that we in Latin America cook a lot with, and that's going to go in the blender. This happens to be a 14-ounce can, which is sort of the standard here. And we have our 9 eggs right here. And then we have some vanilla extract, the good kind, the one that does not say imitation vanilla. If it's gonna cost you like $2 for 16 ounces, then it's not vanilla. So make sure that when you read the label, it says vanilla extract, not imitation vanilla. And then we have a little bit of salt that's gonna help us balance things out. So basically, we're gonna throw everything in the blender. We're gonna blend this up, and then we can throw the blender in the refrigerator while we make the cool part of it, which is the caramel. So we're going to start, and the first thing we're going to do is crack our 9 eggs. And I don't do it straight into the blender, which seems easier, but I like using another bowl because if your egg is kind of funky, you can see it and you can stop the process. Also, if you get some shells in there, it's easier to locate it when they're in a small container than in the blender. So we're going to start cracking the eggs. I like cracking them on the edge of something. Some people crack them on the flat surface, but I guess the idea is not to crack them to the point where they're going to explode on the counter. So, and then we just start cracking them up. So we got 1, 2. I see some cool chefs that are cooler than me that do 2 eggs at a time. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do 1 egg at a time. You don't have to worry about mixing anything at this point. We're just going to crack them and put them in the bowl. 4, 5, 6, 7. So far, so good. 8, and the last one. So there's our 9 eggs. Then I'm going to put this on the side, wipe my hands a little bit. And then we're going to start throwing things in the blender. So we're going to go in with our eggs. And then at this point, I'm going to throw in my cream. And this has already been measured, so just follow the ingredient list on the bottom. And then my milk and my sugar, my coconut, and then my condensed milk. What I'm going to do is, because as you see, the blender is pretty full, so I'm going to blend this up. Once it's blended, I'm going to put it in the bowl and I'm going to mix in the condensed milk. So everything is in there. We're going to start low. You always want to start low because you don't know how much it's going to come up. And because it does have the eggs, it should come up a little bit. And it's going to get loud, but that's part of blending, I guess, right? Once you get the ingredients incorporated a little bit, then you can go higher. have everything already kind of in there. And then we're gonna put it in a bowl. My trusty assistant is passing me a bowl. And then we're gonna put all our custard in there. And then we're gonna add the condensed milk. We have 1 can of condensed milk right here. And this is just gonna make it a little extra rich and creamy, and really this is not a very expensive dessert. It's just, you know, the price of the eggs and stuff, but it will give you easily 12 good sized pieces. So, you know, and plus you can refrigerate it and it'll be great in the fridge for a long time. We get all our condensed milk in there, and then I'm gonna get a whisk. We're gonna whisk this up, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge, and we'll bring it out when we're ready. And next time we see each other, we're gonna be on this side making our caramel. So see you guys soon. All right, it's caramel time. So this is what's gonna go on the bottom of our custard. It's gonna line up the pan, and it will make more sense once you see it happening. But basically, making caramel this way, it's pretty simple, but you just have to be safe because hot sugar really, truly burns your skin pretty fast. So we're gonna turn our fire on, and I have a non-stick pan here. You can use a regular pan, you can use a little pot, whatever is easiest for you. And then in this pan, I'm gonna add my sugar. And to the sugar, as a safety thing, this is something I learned in chef school, because it sort of like makes it more gentle in the melt. We're gonna add a little bit of water around it. So I'm hoping that you guys can see that. So there's basically the sugar in the middle and a little, sort of like a little island, and there's a little bit of water on the side. So there's a big debate out there. What do you do at this point? Do you start mixing it to speed it up? You can, and I've seen some chefs demonstrate that on TV. I learned it the way that you don't really mess with it. So we're gonna let caramel happen. I just gently shake it a little bit to get the water in there. And then I'm a little more aggressive with the fire. So I have it at medium-high, especially at this point of the process. And then if you leave it alone, the sugar will start melting and it'll start sort of liquefying, and it will be a clear liquid first. And after that, it's gonna turn into, you know, a very like light amber color, and then it's gonna go as dark as you let it go. So if you do this and you let it go too dark, then it's gonna start being bitter. So the beauty of it is to get as close to you can to the point where it's not bitter, but it still is rich and complex. So I'll show you, I happen to be a little bit darker on the skin, so I do it to my skin color, but it also depends on what you like, so you'll see it, but don't take it too much. The first times, I'd rather you maybe underdo it a little bit than overdo it, because if you overdo it, then you're gonna have to start over. So, but I don't want to scare you, it's not that complicated, you'll see it. So at this point, I'm gonna just kind of like let the camera roll and show you the process. But we have, the only things we have here is the water and the sugar. All right, I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes when this happens. This will take about 3 minutes or so. All right, so we got to the point where we want to be, which is this dark, cool amber color. I'm going to show you over here. And then I have my pan that my custard or my flan is going to go in, and I just, as you can see, pour it all in there, right? And then I'm going to show you a cool thing. Next to it, I have another pan that I forgot to mention, which has ice, and it has a little bit of water to cool this down. So now I am swirling this. The reason for that is to make sure that every bite has a little bit of the caramel. This will harden very fast, so don't leave it sitting there. You want to do this kind of fast. And then line up the bottom. And if it goes up on the sides, that's fine too. So we're going to do that. Make sure that you cover like it's even on the bottom. So that's what we're doing right now. And now kind of have it there. And it's going to get a little bit harder to do this because, you know, the sugar starts hardening. And then I have my cool ice bath, and I'm going to move this over here, so see if you can see it, because you'll start seeing this thing, it will get solidified, So you'll start seeing and hearing it crack. So it'll turn into like a piece of glass. It's kind of a cool little thing. I think I saw Jesus's face one time when it was happening, but I might have been wrong. So anyways, here's our custard. Two things I forgot to add in the blender were the pinch of salt, which I just did, and then the vanilla. So don't do what I did, don't forget. And then we added the condensed milk in the bowl, as you remembered. And then this is gonna cool down maybe for another 30 seconds because I have the ice. If you just leave it out, then you don't have to worry about it. It will cool down in a couple of minutes, but we're trying to speed things up here. Because my experience is in the restaurant, so we're always trying to do things fast. And I don't want you to really change everything about your cooking, but if there's ways that you can cut corners and do things a little bit faster, then this could be a good way of doing it. So our custard is nicely mixed. Our caramel is almost there. We can still hear, and it's going to be probably, you don't want to pour it while it's too hot, because remember you have eggs here and they're going to start cooking, so you want it to be cool. And then the next step after I pour the custard in there is going to be this same pan that I have here. I'm going to empty the ice and we're going to put some boiling water. But I'm going to show you that. That's called a bain-marie, which is just a fancy way of cooking something in a vessel with hot water so that the cooking is even. So you do that for things like quiche is one of them, All right, so I'm pretty confident that this is cooled enough to do what I'm about to do. Which is pour our flan mixture. Cool. We got everything in there. Now I'm going to remove it from the ice. I'm just going to put it on the counter to show you one more little thing I like to do, which is air bubbles. So eggs, we whip things up, so there's going to be a little bit of air bubbles. And if you leave them there, it's fine, but the texture is not going to be as smooth. So you just kind of want to tap it a little bit so you get some of those bubbles out. And just let it sit there for a second. I'm going to get some hot water in here, so when we come back, I'm going to show you that step. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, so we have our custard made that we poured into our caramel that I show you how to make, and then we're going to talk French terms. So bain-marie, it just means cooking something in hot water. So you're going to put a smaller pan inside the bigger pan, and the bigger pan is going to have the hot water. So you want to have your water boiling. Once it comes to a boil or close to it, we're going to pour it in here. And you don't want it to be at the same level of the edge of whatever you're putting in there. You're going to do not need that much water. There's not going to be that much evaporation going on in the oven. So, and also you run the risk of the water getting into your custard or your flan in this case. So you want to keep it just maybe like a third up on the sides. And you want to be careful because you're going to be at one point balancing the hot water with the flan inside into your oven. So some people put the flan in the oven in the bigger container and then they pour the water right next to it like by the oven. I am going to do it here because I'm pretty confident about this. So my water is boiling, and then we're going to pour the water in here. Remember, I'm not going to fill it up. I'm just going to do about a third of what the flan container, of the height of the flan container. So that should be about that. And then I have my oven at 350. This should take about, can you see me? This should take about an hour in the oven. So at 350, it should take about an hour in the oven. So anytime you put anything in the oven, you want to preheat your oven. So it's been going on for about 20 minutes, 15 minutes or so. So it's one of those fancy ones that beeps when it reaches the temperature. So we're there now. Now we're going to get our flan custard, and we're going to put it in the middle here. And I'm going to throw it in the oven. So it will take about an hour. It's got to set. So if it looks runny to you, it's not ready. So my trick that I use is I shake it a little bit once it's in the oven and it's very close to being done. And just lightly, it should look like jello. So it should have a little bit of like give, but it shouldn't be completely loose. And when I mean shake, and I got to show you this with maybe this, it cannot be like a crazy shake. You just got a very gentle thing. So you work so hard to make this even. If you go crazy and move it, it's going to crack on you. I know it's still going to be delicious, but it doesn't look like, like you put all this time into it, so you want to make it good. So hot water, flan in there, oven's already at 350. We're going to throw it in there. It's just me throwing it in the oven, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but basically I'm just putting it in the middle rack of the oven, and then we're gonna pull it out in about 1 hour. So you wanna be careful, you wanna move slow because you have water and custard in there, and then you wanna come down here, and it's gonna go in the oven, and now, if you can still see me, I'll see you in 1 hour. All right, everyone, this is our flan day. We haven't made many desserts, but this is one that I love. You saw how easy it was, how we put everything in the blender. Another key thing to doing what I'm about to do is to allow the flan to cool completely. So you want to leave it in your fridge overnight, and then do we're going to get it out of the mold and then put it on something so you can cut it easier. And we're going to flip it, which is sounds a little scary, but it's not. So we're going to do it together. But one of the key things to make this happen is to let it cool completely. If you try to do this while the flan is warm, you are going to have a hot mess of flan all over your counter. So you don't want to do that. Remember, it has the caramel on the bottom, so we're going to get a sharp knife, and we're going to run the knife around the edges. This won't come out cleanly on its own, so we're going to run it around the edges. Once you're sure that you got it all around the edges, then we're going to put another tray on top of your flan, and then you're going to do this. I like doing it towards me instead of away from me. I feel like I have more control over it. But you want to make sure that you hold it in a way that you can hold on to the flan. Don't just flip this over hoping that the flan's going to land in the middle and we're all going to laugh and have a great time and eat flan, because that's not going to happen. So you want to just kind of hold it and flip it with conviction. Because if it doesn't work, then you don't have to tell anybody. And if this doesn't work, I might actually show you, so you know that it doesn't work sometimes. But it's still delicious. It might just not be perfect. And then there's a chance too when I flip it that it's still a little bit stuck, and then we have to release it a little bit, like tap it on the bottom of the bottom pan. So we're gonna flip it, and then we're gonna put it down, and we're gonna tap it a little bit. I heard something. Is that good? Is that bad? Do I want to take a look before I show you? We will show you no matter what. So there it is. There's our flan. It worked. I hear you guys clapping from all over the world. I appreciate that. I deserve it. Here's our coconut flan. And this is easily good enough for about 12 of us. You don't need a lot of it. It's rich. It's got that coconut. And then this caramel right here that's still kind of stuck to the pan, that's fine. I'm going to show you a little trick. You just put it on the fire at a very, very low heat, and it will kind of like make it liquid again, so you can actually add it to your pieces. But for today, I'm just going to cut one piece. At the restaurant, we like marking it all and then cutting it all, but right now we're just going to cut a small piece and put it here so we can taste it together. And since it came out good, we're going to get rid of this little piece. Cut it perfect. And it's very delicate, so it's not, there's no flour here, so that's another thing. It's gluten-free. So you want to be able to take your time with it, and when you pick it up, you want to just do it with care. So we're going to cut it into a strip like that, and then we're going to cut some pieces. One, see how easy it just kind of separated itself. So I am kind of guesstimate that that's probably a good piece for me. And then we'll get 4 out of that side. I'm going to put my plate right here. That's coming along, but there is some caramel in here already, and I'm just going to move this one a little bit. And move this one a little bit so I can just pick up the piece that I want to pick up. And then I'm going to bring it to the plate. And if the caramel is willing to cooperate, which I think it is, we're going to drizzle it with a little more caramel on top. Whoa. In all honesty, I had a 75% chance of nailing this, and it actually worked, so I'm happy. Sometimes when you do this, you're so used to doing it at work, and at home things are different, so I'm glad it worked. I hope that when you make it, it works for you, because it's an amazing dessert that it's easy to make, and once again, it's gluten-free. So we're gonna take some pictures of it, and then, no, we're not gonna take pictures of it. Today we're gonna taste, because we have other pieces. That's right, that makes sense. So I'm gonna taste this. I'm gonna bring it closer to my mouth. I'm gonna turn this off, because I don't need any more caramel right now. And I'm looking for coconutty, creamy, and that flan happiness, like that custardy feeling, you know? It's even crunchy from the caramel. It's really good. I never take 2 bites, but I will today. This is perhaps my favorite dessert, so I really want you to make this at home. I know that the 2 lovely people that helped me doing this are dying to jump in here, and I am dying for them to taste it, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Come and check us out. My name is Chef Luis Sanchez, and this is A Seat at My Table. See you guys soon.